Hello guys, my name is Julia and today I want to talk with you about Rahu, Ketu and the balance between them. So the thing is that everyone is scared of Rahu, like when Rahu goes through ascendant or on the planets or wherever. So the thing is that Rahu is not doing anything bad itself, the same as Saturn. The thing is that these planets, they cross the zodiac and our charts, and they are kind of like a lighter, enlighten the areas which we need to heal, but it's a little bit in different way. When Saturn comes, it kind of shows like the consequences we should face, like it kind of brings the karma of doing something really good in some way or neglecting some area in some way. So it's like how much responsible we were in that area. So Saturn comes and kind of gives the fruits. But the Rahu, what it shows, we all know that Rahu amplifies everything. It's like when Rahu is with some planet in your chart, it's probably gonna be too much. But the thing is that this too much happens because Ketu sits on the opposite side, just on the opposite sign, and in your past lives you are doing and giving too much energy in those areas where you see Ketu. So find the Ketu in your chart, find the sign where Ketu sits and analyze in which area and with which flavor. So the sign gives flavor and the house placement gives where, in which area of your life you are doing like too much, you are more interested, more focused. And the thing is that Rahu is always on the opposite, so that we can achieve balance inside of us by going into the direction which is Rahu. But we were not doing anything in that direction where Rahu sits right now in the past lives because we were so much in Ketu. So right now, of course, when we jump into or we touch or something connected to Rahu area, we want to jump in it too much. Imagine you never eat anything sweet, like at all in your life. And for example, you tried something and you see like you can try cakes, you can try fruits, you can try different, I don't know, drinks or something like juices where you feel the sweets, like everywhere you feel something sweet you want to try. The person who eats sweet all the life, I don't know, I would see for example the table with a lot of fruits, I would try different things and I would just go. But the person who never eat it in his life, he would try everything like I want. This is how Rahu works. And the fact that we jump into something too much and we really want it and it's like we are hungry to that, it's just a sign that this is where, in which areas is balance needed. Also we see Rahu as someone who gives us different hardships or some very situation which come out of the blue or something. Like we all don't like Rahu energy, but Rahu just amplifies where the problem is. And I have a nice example how Rahu can work. This is a real story. The guy was surfing on the waves and he was bitten by the shark. In astrology, we know that shark is also represented by Rahu, something very kind of what you didn't expect. And the thing is that when he came in hospital, they started to do operation on his body and they found cancer because the shark ate the piece of the body of the person. So they were trying to make the operation on this place and they found that he has actually a big cancer thing inside, and so they revealed it in time so he could cure it. This is like exactly the way Rahu works. Rahu just bites us in the places where we need to kind of see that this is something is really not easy. Like it's not easy because we already did it was unbalanced, and Rahu just amplifies this unease. The thing is that when Rahu goes over our zodiac in different houses or over our planets, Rahu in transit, especially if you have the period of Rahu somehow going on, a period, a sub-period, you will feel some kind of interest in that area where Rahu transits. But in the same moment, if you're absolutely not jumping into this area, you will get hurt because you're sitting in Ketu still. And the thing is that the area where Rahu goes and you're not putting energy into non-physical, you will have in your physical body some issues. This is why Rahu connected to illness, because Rahu reveals in our body is like a machine for our spirit. It's like a map. Using our body, we can understand where, in which areas in our spirit, some blockages. On energy level. And the thing that Rahu reveals where those blockages kind of needs our attention. So Rahu, when it's transit over ascendant or something, it shows that we need to be very attentive about these things about yourself. For example, the sign which you have in the ascendant gives in which areas, in which themes, in which for example, if you have Sagittarius, something like questioning your belief system about self. If you have Taurus ascendant, it's about your self-worth or kind of how you kind of self-love or something like that. If you have Leo and Rahu transits your ascendant, so it's about you as like center of you're a president of your own life. And if it's Pisces, it's about, for example, you can travel to foreign lands. And so the 12th sign flavor in your first house of your body, physically in the foreign lands. And for example, if you're enjoying and learning something new, you're deepening into your subconscious 12th house flavors. So, or you're meditating, doing different spiritual practices, and you're kind of understanding things from different perspectives about self, it works. But if you're not doing it, so you can go, for example, to the hospital because of some health issue, because Rahu shows that it's so unbalanced inside of you on the energy level that it's now came to the point where you have illness in your body. And Rahu shows like this is where. Also, when we see Rahu in transit, for example, next to some planet, by observation, for some time you can notice when Rahu connects to some planet, your energy of this planet, like recently Rahu just was absolutely together with Mars. I felt a lot interest of physical activity. All the kind of things which are connected to Mars energy was amplified. I started to run. I didn't run for maybe 10 years. I started to run. I wanted to do different physical activity. I wanted to feel more of my body, like physical body, the physicality. Those days were too much about physicality. So it's small example, but I noticed when Rahu comes close to some planet, it's amplified. And for example, if you have some issues with some planet, with Mercury or with Venus or Jupiter, whatever, in the moment when Rahu comes closer to this planet in transit, it also can amplify, and soon you can in tune to this energy more. Because, for example, if you have debilitated planet or planet in the 12th house, go away. And so if you have a debilitated planet or planet in the 12th house, you have some kind of not enough awareness of how to use specific energy of some planet. So when Rahu comes closer to this planet, you can feel how it works. You can use this energy more because it's amplified. It's like, for example, something small, and then you put a big lens on it, and you're like, oh, now I see. And the same with feeling. So when Rahu goes closer to some planet, which you don't really know how to use or something like that, and when lens of Rahu puts on it, and you're like, oh, now I feel. And when you follow the transits, if you're into astrology and you follow how transits go, you can notice how Rahu interestingly amplifies things which probably you can use. Of course, if you have some planets exalted, or you have planets already with Rahu, so it's already kind of amplified. So while Rahu transits over there, so it can be too much of this energy. So be careful, it needs to be kind of, So I hope you understand what I mean. So my point is that Rahu is not something to be scared of. The thing is that the Ketu cuts something. When we sit too much into Ketu, it cuts something material because it wants us to go in the Rahu direction to balance on the inner level. And if we are not going, Rahu gives some illness on this area where Rahu connected. So it's quite simple, but using the sign and using the house, you can understand what type of balance needed. It's not like somebody wants from you, or God wants from you, or universe decided, so that's why you're born with this. You have Rahu Ketu in this axis because on the energy level, it's not really kind of balanced enough. And your chart, astrological, is a map of your energies, and this is how it shows you, like, this is like where you can have to move like more, be more interested in that, because you will not have problems with Ketu in the area where Ketu, because if you sit in Ketu you will have problems there and there. Okay, I hope it was interesting and understandable. For me it's super interesting, very easy, and see you in the next videos. Bye bye.